Yep.
All set.
Recording. Yep. Okay, so welcome everybody, and thanks for everybody for audience of citizens. Is Alex is on the line, right? So
yes, I'm here.
Okay, so Alex, you're first on audience of citizens. I'm Donna Bove. The commissioners are on. Why don't you go ahead and present your request?
Sure, we'll do. And then the other party, Sal Parafati, he's just texting me now. He is having a little problem joining right now. But hi, everyone. My name is Alex Joslin. Thank you again for having me. Special thank you to Jen for dealing with all the emails, not only for this, but in terms of the high school and all kind of other things. So thank you again for that. So basically, our request, myself and Sal Parafati, we are both girls high school and boys soccer high school head coaches, respectively. We are looking to host a youth soccer camp, grades K through 8 on June 21st to June 25th. We would be charging roughly $100. We would be charging $100, and we expect roughly 25 participants. We're asking for the fee to use the field to be waived. So just to give them more background, currently we used to get $1,600 a year from the Board of Education to buy equipment, among other things. Last year that dropped down to $500, and we expect that number to be $500 again this fall. Just to put things in perspective, when we have to order socks for the teams, that's roughly $400 itself. So that really only leaves us with $100 to buy incidentals. And on a usual year, you're looking at buying things such as scorebooks, such as balls, such as pennies, such as cones, among other things. And then also too, due to the current circumstances of recruiting, we're also both looking to buy a new camera. So any money that we would be raising during this camp would be reinvested back into our program. Currently, we're only allowed to do one fundraiser a year, and both of our fundraisers, as much as they would help, would not be able to cover the costs that we expect to incur. We would be paying for everything essentially out of pocket using the money that we would make from this camp. We also, myself and Sal, we also both have assistant coaches that are volunteer, which means they don't get paid, yet they put in the same amount of hours as we do. So we do like to compensate them a little bit for their time. And then also too, a big one is what we're currently doing to raise money is, I can speak on the girls side. I can't speak so much on the boys side. But on the girls side, you're almost looking at roughly $300 per player that they have to do with individual fundraising, either through raffle tickets or going out to businesses. And that, in my mind, is almost a pay-to-play system. And being a public education-based program, I personally, along with Val, we don't feel it's appropriate to have to ask our players for money to help the program, considering at the varsity level that there may be a chance that a player could be paying $300 and getting very limited playing time. And it comes back to, as much as you want to say, it's just not a fair situation to have someone have to pay $300 where they may not get the same benefit as someone else. So that's pretty much the high gist of it overall.
So
Okay.
Alex,
Sal,
when
can you
you're-
hear me? I'm sorry, I joined a little late there because I didn't have WebEx on my computer, but I'm here if you have any other questions. And just to piggyback off of what Alex said, again, I'm sure he covered most of it or all of it actually. We don't think we're entitled to anything. It's more of just a courtesy. You may know that I've been a coach in this town for 21 years now. I grew up here. We both grew up here. We both, I'm raising a family here. My kids go to school here. There's nowhere else I'd rather be. We'd much rather, have these camps and for the youth and for, high school age kids here rather than, doing these camps in another town. So we're just, like I said, just looking for a little courtesy for a startup that we're trying to get off the ground. You know, I mean, this isn't something that we, you know, he probably mentioned we're not making millions of dollars here. You know, it's really just to kind of get it going and to get the youth excited about soccer. Yeah, we're a football and baseball town, but you know, we also play soccer too. So we're just trying to pique the interest a little bit, and you know, I think it's time. As an assistant, we did when I was an assistant, you know, we did some of it, but we're trying to grow the program. I feel like we didn't really expand as much as we could have, you know, in previous years. So now with Alex aboard, with both of us aboard as head coaches, you know, we're trying to do our best just to pique interest and to get that going. You know, we unfortunately it's tough when we're incurring, you know, these pretty steep costs, I think, to run these programs. So
To piggyback off of that, the reason we can't partner up with the high school to do this is because if we did do that and we were charging a fee, there would be potential issues there with the athletic program. We spoke to our athletic director, David Francolangio, which is why we can't partner up with the high school to do this.
Okay, so I just want to, do you mind, Donna?
Go ahead, Jen, go ahead.
Okay, so just to clarify, Alex, when you were talking about all the expenses, the equipment, the, you know, uniforms, stuff like that, you're speaking about the high school team, correct?
Yes, yes. So any money that would be raised would not be going to BYSA, be going specifically to the high school. And I guess I should have mentioned this too. I apologize. High school players do assist in the camp. They also use it for volunteer hours, for National Honor Society, etc.
Okay, but the youth camp is being run by your business, correct?
That is correct. We're doing a youth camp with the money being raised to fund the high school program.
Okay.
So this is Donna Bove. And so I'm trying to understand, I know that in the past, a camp has been run by the high school girls as part of their fundraising through boosters.
Correct.
So now you guys are kind of taking that over, right? And that's fine. But why is it through an LLC? You guys see the policy. I think Jen probably shared with you the town's policy. And when there is a for-profit organization, such as an LLC, and we've been consistent on this in the past, so I'm really trying to understand what's different about you guys than anyone else. What is different? Because we normally charge fees. We do charge fees for LLCs using the fields.
Yeah, just to correct Donna real quick, it's not the policy, it's the fee schedule that is adopted by council.
Yeah, no, right.
I just
But
wanna
it's
make
our
sure, yeah.
policy and that was implemented. So now when it was under the boosters and the teams ran this camp and everything, that's a different story because, you know, but when there's an LLC involved, there's other things where the money could go.
I mean, we chose to do this for personal protection as well, you know, being insured as an LLC. So that's a big reason doing that. So we have protection, we have insurance. And you're right. It is, at the end of the day, it is for profit, but you know, call it what it is. I mean, I don't really see it being profitable yet. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, would we like it to grow? Sure, but it just boils down to being an act of courtesy for two local coaches. That's it. It's not, we're not trying to, trying to hide anything, Donna. It's just, we're just asking for an act of courtesy. It's it. I mean, if that's
okay.
You know, that's what it boils down to. We don't feel like we're special in any way or we're entitled to anything, but you know, we're two local guys trying to grow, soccer in this town, and
Sure,
trying to do it the best way possible by, trying to save some money as well. So
Yeah, I think the way
that's really all it is.
The way I see it, Donna, and we maybe have to get into more conversation once the audience of the citizen is done, but the way I'm looking at it is that Alex came pretty transparent to us, right? Basically indicating that is not all the money's being proceeds are going right directly back to the school. So I understand that LLCs in the past, right? In the past have that policies in place. I could see though, if they were not going to use this money for the students and they were going to pocket it, that would be, in my opinion, a different story. But anyways,
Okay,
how I'm hearing, how I am hearing the conversation.
Yeah, so,
Donald, if you want, I could touch upon the previous camps. Both Sal and I, and speaking to the athletic director, back when with the previous athletic director, that actually is not allowed to be doing something along those lines, a camp like that, due to liability issues that Sal just touched upon, which is why we also formed the LLC as well.
okay, thanks. So to Don's point and the monies, and I'm sure, I understand you guys are getting started off the ground. But if there's monies left over after all expenses, expenses include any type, you mentioned the, assistant coaches, you want to give them something. And I totally get it. You guys are putting a lot of time and effort into this. That's what, unfortunately through an LLC, that's what, years ago, we used to have to look at financials of companies. We don't do that anymore, or, of people coming before us, including Little League at one time, believe it or not. So, that's kind of the information, if you want to answer Don's question, what do you expect to net and go back to the school, and how much are the coaches, including you guys, getting?
So if we expect roughly 25 and 100, the simple math right there is, excuse me, is 2,500, right? I believe, unless, oh, sorry, I'm the math guy. Give me a sec.
That's right, Alex.
So
Yeah, sorry
2,500,
about
yeah.
that.
25 times 100, yeah.
Yeah, there we
And
go.
fees would be 1,050.
Yep. So basically, our registration software that we use, that takes $1.50 away from each registration, because we do have a registration software just so it's easier for parents to sign off on liability documents, put in health documents. We have the expenses that we mentioned. After the expenses that we usually, we expect to pay each coach, probably I would say in the $200 to $300 range. And then any leftover money would be used to file taxes with the state.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any other commissioners have any questions or comments that you'd want to voice now? Yep.
I do. So I'm the former Friends of Women's Soccer booster rep, and I ran and organized and managed those two prior camps that you talked about, Alex, as you know, because you coached one for me. And Katie did one for me as well, Katie Amenta, the prior year. The money that we would get from the camp, from the fees raised during that camp, it went directly into the booster account earmarked for women's soccer. It wasn't handled like a separate, like we didn't have an account on the side that we would just pay whatever other expenses that we wanted. We had a committee, and we went to the booster account, and then we doled it out however we saw fit as the booster reps. You're telling us that this money is not going to be handed over to the athletic department because Dave doesn't want it or he can't take it. So how do we know what you're going to do with the money? I mean, can you break it out? Like, can you give us a letter, a statement? I mean, just coming out with assorted expenses, I think you just kind of got to detail it out for us so we know what exactly you're planning on doing with the money. I mean, it's not a lot of money. You're right. It's $2,500. If we cut you the cost of the fees, you're clearing $2,500 on the camp potentially. It's not a lot of money, but still, it's something. And generally speaking, we only waive fees for nonprofit entities. And you guys aren't coming out that way. So could you detail out a statement for us with the costs and what you're going to spend the money on for both teams?
Sure, we can definitely put that together for you. Absolutely.
And then
Yeah.
Tony, help me out with boosters and this relationship with the LLC. In the past, there've been some private bank accounts that were maintained when I was involved in boosters. This goes back a ways, obviously. My kids are gone many, many years, over 10. And we had an issue with that. An issue came up. So how, now, if they turn the money, whatever's left over after whatever fees they have, they turn it over to boosters to go to the girls' team or the boys' team, both teams. Is that how it's supposed to work? Because Dave
Well-
doesn't want it coming through his athletic budget?
Well, if it was a booster fundraiser, but this is not that. This is something outside.
We may have to work a little bit with that because, for example, Tony, that each team is allowed one major fundraiser. So that's since been replaced by your jamboree, and the guys have been doing a jamboree for 10 some odd years, which is way more profitable than a little camp that we do. So
Yep.
that's probably
Well,
probably
the
a good
first
thing
year-
if that
the-
happened.
The first year we ran a soccer clinic was much more profitable than the year before for women's soccer, because all we got for teams at women's soccer jamboree was BYSA seniors playing 4 games on the Scalise field. We didn't have the high school teams. We didn't have anything else there that day.
Right.
So we made I don't know, $600.
Right. So that's squashed, right? So to replace it, you're asking what we're going to do with the money. Like it would have to go through as like a private donation, like how you have your donors
Yeah.
on the board there. So we can do it that way. There's plenty of ways that we can do it. That's probably the main one. So that's how we would
But
replace it
Sal,
instead of-
but
yeah.
hold on a second. Hold on a second, right? Because based on what I understood, and I may be incorrect in the statement, if you do what you just said, how do we know that your boosters, friends of boosters, is going to buy the things that you need? Right?
Well,
My understanding,
I would
again,
also-
I'm going back to, my days in boosters, right? A lot of times what ended up happening was that during the committee, they decided what the parents wanted to decide on what to give the kids, whether it was sweatshirts and so forth. Donna, we've been in those situations, right, where they needed bats and balls, right? And we needed to figure that all out. So,
Right.
I just think we need to be careful here in how we're splitting hairs. I understand, the fact that
That's
you want to
understandable.
let your boosters base be your point of contact. But if you're truly going to be using this to purchase what Alex said before, then somehow, some way, your friends of have to be committed to do that. Otherwise, it's for nothing. You just lost
I get that.
$2,500.
I get that, Don. And all I can tell you is at least we do on the boys side. I have an amazing relationship with our booster reps. They've been fantastic. One of them is Krista Hilby. I mean, we've known her for 15 years.
Sure.
So
Okay.
I put full trust into her, and I have for years. She has a year left, and she'll be passing it on to to incoming parents. So the relationship there is completely based on trust, and so
You feel comfortable.
I do.
Okay.
I definitely do. On the boys side,
I just wanted to raise the point.
I agree with what Sal is saying because I felt the same way. When Alex would come and ask for something, practice tees or balls, we bought them. No questions asked. I think the booster money is there for that as well, in addition to, warm-ups, T-shirts,
Right.
whatever else.
Right. Okay, cool. That's good. That's good.
Equipment requests too.
Yeah. Hey, Sal and Alex, how many coaches are you, including yourselves, are you going to be reimbursing at some?
Well, we would each have one volunteer. One volunteer would be reimbursing because the volunteers do not get paid by the town.
Okay, so one volunteer and both of you are not getting paid anything from your LLC?
No.
right back into Back into
So-
the business or back into, like these back into boosters?
what's the, okay, I don't know what the business is, but I mean, just saying, you probably should set up a nonprofit entity. You can get insurance for that. And, that might be something you want to look down the road. But again, we have to take all facts and, what you're using the money for. And so we need to be clear on how much the staff is getting, whoever that might be.
Sal, is this the only camp you guys are running, or are you trying to go like to other towns and,
No, I mean, it's just a local thing, and
Okay.
again, we can't really, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you how many kids will sign up, I mean, could it be 20? Could it be 80? I mean, your guess is as good as mine at this point, with COVID still going on and things sort of reopening now, right? I don't really know what everyone's comfort level is. So,
Right.
Do that,
again,
to
that
Sal's-
just remains to be seen,
Yeah.
To Sal's point, we do plan on capping it at 30, obviously, too, with the current circumstances, and any more than that would just be too chaotic.
Cap at 30. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Are there any other questions by the commissioners?
Yeah, Alex, just one other question. In the document that you, I think submitted, you had two dates, June 21st through the 25th.
Yeah,
and
that was
July.
that was a typo. My apologies.
Okay, thank you.
So Jen, you've cleared the dates. They're available.
Yes, as of now, they are available.
Okay, great. Okay, so just for everybody, for audience and citizens, we'll listen to audience and citizens. We'll go into our meeting, start off with minutes, and then we'll discuss each of the requests. You're welcome to stay through the whole thing, or you can leave the meeting, and then Jen can follow up with you tomorrow and let you know what the decisions were and all that kind of stuff. But you're welcome to stay as well. So it's up to you, okay? All right, hearing no other questions, let's go on. Max and John?
Hi, how are you? It's John. This is John Paul. Max had another commitment, so he won't be on.
Okay,
We had spoken to Jen, and thank you again. As Alex said, thanks for dealing with all our emails. Our dates from what we submitted have changed. We're looking to run a youth football camp, ages incoming first through eighth graders. And it would be on Monday, June 28th through Thursday, July 1st at Scalise Field. We would have a younger group, first and second graders, as an intro to football, running from 5 to 6:30 in the evening. They're being charged $110, and then the older group would come in from 6 to 8:30. There would be a slight overlap, but we'd be running games with the little kids while the older kids are doing their warm-ups, and the older kids would be charged $195. It would be a for-profit entity. It will be run through a business. Fees will be used for t-shirts, insurance, our field expenses, paying our coaches. There would be a profit that Max and I took as well. I've been a coach and supporter of Berlin football for nearly 20 years. Max has been a player and now a coach at Berlin High School. I believe it's going on 4 or 5 years as a coach. Both heavily involved in the youth programs throughout the town, and just looking for permission to be able to run the camp.
okay, thanks, John Paul.
Yeah.
And Jen, any issues with the dates?
No, so the dates on the agenda are wrong because they changed the dates on me yesterday. So when we do vote, we just have to put in the new dates so I can give you those when we're ready to do that vote.
Right.
But no, the dates are available right now.
Okay, so, and it's June 28th through July 1st?
Yes, from 4:45 to 8:45 in the evening.
Yeah, Okay.
And John Paul, correct me
ahead.
if I'm wrong, John Paul, but did you not do this last year?
Max, there was a camp during the day last year, correct?
Right.
And that was actually run through midget football, I believe, through their non-for-profit, but we won't be running it through midgets this year.
Okay, thank you.
Jen, it was last year, it was run through midget football. Wasn't there a year that Max did it through his LLC?
Max was trying to get it going through his LLC last year, but I think that paperwork took longer than he expected, and then
That's what
with
it was.
COVID,
Yep.
COVID and everything, that's why they ended up doing something with midget football. I think now Max has his LLC. I think John Paul's a part of it, and I think they're really trying to get their business moving.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
So is there a request for field rent waivers, field
No.
fee waivers on this?
No,
No?
I mean,
So
if
they're
you're giving them
gonna-
out, we'll take it, but no, we're not looking for it.
no, they're for profit, right.
Oh, they'll be paying. I did the fees today. They'll be paying $1,120 in fees.
The request is to allow them
Is-
to use the fields.
No, the request is to allow them to charge a fee. Anytime a group wants to charge a fee,
Right,
it has
you're
to be
right.
approved by you
Yep.
guys and council.
Yep. Yep.
So,
Okay, any further questions? Okay, all right. Thanks, John Paul, and give our best to Max.
I will.
Okay,
I appreciate your
Matthew.
guys' time. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Have a good
Okay,
night. Bye.
Matthew Ross, Eagle Scout, great.
Hello. Thank you for having me. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present this to you. Would you like me to share my screen on this?
Sure.
Yeah,
that's
go
part of your
for it.
presentation. That'd be great.
Let's see your technology skills. Go for it.
Okay. I've never used WebEx before, so this is my first time.
It's pretty easy.
You've surpassed my abilities with WebEx.
Look at that. Good
Hey,
job.
we're already there.
Great
All right.
job. Great.
So I'm looking to do something at the Sage Park Pavilion, and let's get started. So a little bit about me. My name is Matthew Ross. I'm currently a Light Scout in Troop 44, working on my Eagle. That's why I'm here to present my Eagle project. I'm 16. I'm at Berlin High School in grade 10, and I've been a Scout since 2015. Throughout my time in the troop, I've held several leadership positions, including Senior Patrol Leader, which is the highest position in the troop. And I enjoy cooking, camping, and other things that we do in our troop. So every year we, in a troop, go to Sage Park and we have a camp out where we have this massive feast for Thanksgiving. We didn't do it this past year because of COVID, but when COVID dies down, we're looking to start it up again. While we're there, these are some pictures of our past campouts. So in the top left, we're using Dutch ovens and coals, and this is a apple pie being cooked. And we have it sit for hours, and it takes such a long time, but it's good. It's fun. And the bottom left, this is ham. We also cook in Dutch ovens. On the right, we use a garbage can. It's clean, thankfully. So an unused garbage can to cook our turkey, and we line coals on the sides. We have these coils that we drop them in, and it takes a couple hours, and it comes out really good. The benches that are in the pavilion, we invite all the Scout members' families, and we all have our feast. So one of the things I'm looking to improve is where we cook. And like I said before, we currently use Dutch ovens and coals. We put coals underneath where we would have the Dutch oven. We place it on top. And then we also put coals on the cover. And this gets the heat all around so it cooks evenly. And in the cooking area, we cook hams, pies, cornbread, lots of things. So and then for the serving area, we bring a bunch of our own tables. We line them along the side, and we place down all our napkins, all our plates, our silverware or plasticware, and all the food we cook for serving when we eat. And we need a lot of space for that. So starting with the cooking area, I'm looking to build a brick cooking structure in the corner of the pavilion, which isn't covered, so any smoke that comes from it won't be inside the building. It'll float away in the air. The dimensions of this structure would be 11 feet long across the front, 4 feet back along the side, and then about 1.2 feet going up, standing high. On each side, there's 2 pits. On the inside, there's fire brick, which would help keep the bricks from getting burned or the ground. It would help protect the structure. And they could be used for cooking. And in the middle, there's going to be 2 blue stones, and it's just going to be a flat surface. On one side, you could do it on either side. You could add a grate, and the grates cost $54. I was looking to add a grate to one of the sides, but not the other. That could be changed. We could do no grate, or we could do both grates. However, you think we should do for this. And so the dimensions would be 11 by 4 by a foot, and this is the different views. So the front view is on the bottom, the side view is on the top right, and the top view is on the top left. So other than the cooking area, oh wait, I forgot about this. So I actually photoshopped in the structures so you could see what it looks like. It looks a little cartoony, but it'll better help you make a picture of what I'm trying to do. So this is the current view of the area. And then this is what I'm looking to place in. It's going to go right in the corner. It fits perfectly because we went up and measured. Perfect 11 feet long. And that's what the cooking area is going to look like. So then for the serving, where we had all the tables, I'm looking to build 2 wooden tables made out of pressure treated wood. One 14-foot long table and one 8-foot long table. So the 14-foot long table is 14 feet by 2 feet by 4 feet, 2 feet wide and 4 feet tall. And then the 8-foot table is 8 feet by 2 feet by 4 feet, 2 feet wide and 4 feet tall. See these little circles here? Those are going to be threaded rods or rebars, and there's going to be 3 in each table, stretching from front to back, and that's going to hold the table better. It's going to be stronger, and it's going to help prevent any warping, and it's going to last for a really long time. So the estimated cost of the 14-foot structure would be about $325, and then the 8-foot table would be about $225. So these are the different views: the front view on the bottom, the side view on the top right, and the top view on the top left. And also on the table, there's going to be a bottom shelf for extra storage or putting things there. So like we did with the brick thing, here's the current view of the serving area. And then this would be what we would like to change or add: the 14-foot table on the left, and then the 8-foot table on the right. And they fit perfectly within these areas. So I mentioned earlier for the cooking structure a grate. This is an actual photo of the exact grate that would be added. This pit is exactly the types we would use. The grate is made for this exact type of pit, and it can be lifted up, it could be placed down. It's just an additional thing for cooking. And again, adding those would be $54 each. So then the total costs would be $3,050, $325 for the 14-foot table, $225 for the 8-foot table, and $2,500 for the brick structure. $3,000 is estimated. We're expecting this to be a little bit cheaper because wood prices tend to go down in the warmer weather. But still, this project is a little bit on the high end in terms of cost, but I think it'd be worth it. And since it's cost more money, that means it'd take more time for me to raise the money, And if the town has any funds that you would be willing to donate, that would also be greatly appreciated. Thank you. I'm gonna end my screen share.
Hey, did a nice job, Matthew.
Excellent
Well
job, Matthew.
Yes.
Yeah,
job.
well done. Very
Very
good
good.
presentation.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Matthew, and it's just something to think about, but the fire marshal might have to get involved in the cooking area just to make sure that it would be built to whatever we need to build it to protect the location. Is that something, Jen, that we would just do? You would work with Matthew to get all the approvals required?
Yeah,
Great.
that's not a problem.
Hey, Matthew,
Hmm.
I have two comments. First of all, great job.
Thank you.
As far as the tables themselves, I understand you're using pressure treated wood. Is that something that should be reconsidered based on, doesn't pressure treated wood have formaldehyde in it, and couldn't that cause something? I'm just curious on your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so one of the concerns we had was getting the health inspector involved to see if we could do that. But if not, I'm working with actually Mr. Dorito's cousin, or not cousin, brother. His name is Rafe. And he has ways that we could manipulate around that if it's a problem.
Okay, great. And then just one other comment. We hear a lot about COVID and what it's done with building products, right? So tonight on the news, they're talking about patios and all kinds of bricks and so forth, and how the price just continues to go up. So you may want to make sure you, get those prices firmed up before you go out and start fundraising.
Yes, we actually went to Cedar Mountain Stone and Mulch on the Berlin Turnpike. And the lady we met there, her name is Chris Kelly. She actually typed out an entire thing for us and priced it out for us.
Great, good, thank you, thank you. And then Woody, where the fire pit's gonna go, right? Where the before picture was taken with all the leaves and so forth, do you think that's gonna be a problem over there, cleaning that up at some point, or is there gonna be issues with the fire pit getting leaves inside and all that? I mean, is that something you have to be worried about as far as maintenance?
Terry sends out a pavilion rental on a monthly basis. So whenever there's a rental at any pavilion, we clean up either Timberland or Sage Park prior to the event. And we know that this will happen throughout the fall season with the leaves falling into the pit. And I would imagine after some of these events, we'll have to go in there and clean up the leftover charcoal. So it's no big deal to go in there before or after and clean them up.
Great, thank you. Those are all my questions. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you.
Hey, Donna.
Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah. Hey, Matthew, nice job with the presentation. Nice job with the thought about doing this. I
Thank
just
you.
have two quick questions. Is that grate built in? It flips up, it looks like?
Yeah, I think
I'd just be concerned if it were, you could lift it up and it could walk away.
yeah, because of stealing. I think it is
Yeah.
built in, and
It looked
we
like
have
it was.
we're gluing the whole structure together, so it's going to be one piece, so that the individual bricks wouldn't be sturdy. And I think the grate is also going to be built in too.
Okay. And is there a place where is there like a side door where you would take out the charcoal, or you just flip it up and just dig it out?
You would just flip it up and dig it out.
Okay. Does that work, Woody?
Yep, no problem.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Comments, questions? Okay, well, Matthew, thank you. You did an excellent job, and I'm sure Jen will get back to you if you don't want to hang on to the discussion tonight, but thank you very much. Great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, Matthew, I'll shoot you an email tomorrow.
Okay,
We'll
thank you.
talk about next steps.
So Jennifer, maybe you should take some lessons on how we just shared his presentation, so then we don't have to print all 45 pages next time. You can just share as the presenter. Good job,
Always
Matthew.
do that.
Very good job.
Runs through the agenda though, so Donna should be sharing.
Real quick, guys. This is Tony, Matthew Scoutmaster. I just want to let you know that thank you very much for giving Matthew the opportunity to have this meeting with you. Now that he's done this, what he needs to do now, just so you guys are informed, is he actually needs to get the project approved by the council, the Boy Scout Council. So he's got this very large form that he needs to fill out, the actual project proposal, and he's going to do that soon now that you gave him sort of a thumbs up, and he's going to submit that to council and hopefully get the sign off, official sign off for him to have this be a legitimate project. So that's where he is at this point. Thank you very much for giving him this opportunity.
Thank you.
Just so you guys are aware, we still have to take it to town council and get approval from town council. So you have your council, we have ours. Matthew, we'll talk. I'll send you an email. We'll talk about whether or not we think you need to present at the town council meeting, when it is, and everything like that.
Thank you.
Matthew, can I add one more thing? When it comes to the tables that you're looking to construct, I believe the health inspector is going to tell you it needs to be something like stainless steel or a plastic, like an AZAC, something that can be sanitized in between cooking on it. Most of the time they'll go with the stainless steel and they can probably just bend it right over it. But I don't know if you want to research that prior to installing this.
Thank you.
And Matthew, just a suggestion, it's probably a good experience for you to go in front of the council and present it. They'll be wowed by it as well. But they'll want to make sure all the T's are crossed, and Jen can help you with all that kind of stuff, and Steve as well. So you'll do well.
Thank you.
Yeah, keep us posted. Send us pictures through Jen, and at least we get a chance to see the progression. Would love to see that.
Well,
Yeah.
Great job again.
Get it in the Citizen.
Yep.
Got to promote things. This is great. Okay. Hey,
Nice
thank you,
job, man.
Matthew, again. And Tony, thank you.
Thank you,
Okay,
guys.
So, and now, let's see, we have Patty and Danielle. They're both on?
Yes, we are.
Okay, and I know Tony's here too, so please feel free.
So on the BHS softball team's behalf, there's a letter in your packet. It's a letter of requesting permission for the softball team to hang banners on the new softball field fence. There's a 30-foot long windscreen banner. There's a red coat softball banner on the dugout fence, and then there's 3 sponsor banners. And those would be hung up, given approval by the end of the month. And I attached all the photographs of what the banners would look like. The softball ones are rendering, but they would look exactly the same as what was put on Scalise Field in the fall.
Okay, great. And the one going on the outfield, Tony, is that, they're going to be big enough so people can read them? I mean, the outfield fence is, pretty far back.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same way at Scalise Field. So when you're sitting in the stands and you're looking across the field, I mean, I gave you a wide angle lens type of thing. It's not as pronounced as when you're up close, but it's there. I mean, you see it pretty well. I mean,
Okay.
the colors are pretty, they do stand out.
Yep. Okay. Any questions from the commissioners?
And this is also a request to renew the 4 banners to put on the Scalise Field in the spring as well.
Right. And those look great. They did look really good last year when you had them up. So, yep.
All really good, positive, comments about it.
Yeah, my comment, Tony, is that it does look really sharp, the consistency, the way they're set up. It's a really crisp, professional job. So nice job.
Thanks a lot. Yeah. The only bad comment I got was actually Dave Franklange. He didn't like me putting them so close together. He wants a gap in between them. So we might try that this spring. Other than that, that's it.
Okay. Okay, I think we're all set then. Thank you very much. And Patty and Danielle, you're welcome to stay on as well if you'd like. Is there anyone else for audience and citizens? I think that's it. That's on our agenda. Okay. All right, let's go into our meeting. We'll start with an approval of minutes. Could we have someone make a motion to accept the minutes of February 11th?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from February 11th.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? So the only comment that I'll make on the minutes is there a way that we could, where the costs are discussed on the, to maintain the fields, the 400,000 and it's broken out? Can we just clarify in there that it does not include wages and fringe benefits? What are your better, you talked to it, so I was not clear when you talked to those numbers at the meeting last, but I think it's just helpful since they're going to be in the minutes that we just clarify that this is, excluding any personnel costs,
What page is that on, Donna?
if that's correct. It's towards the end. I'm scrolling to get to the minutes, but let's see.
So
Maybe-
Idana's searching for it. The wages are included in it. The fringe benefits are not.
Okay,
It's based
so,
on 26 weeks of mowing, how many hours a week we mow, calculated throughout the course of the season. Same thing when it comes to field preparation of lining fields and grooming and maintaining them. And then there's the other additional costs of water, electricity, and paint.
right, so and it's the direct cost, Woody, the worker cost, not supervision, or supervision included as well?
Just the direct cost of what it costs for somebody to go out there.
So I think what I'd like to see, and Don, I'm sorry, I'm scrolling.
That's okay. No worries. I can't find it.
It's where it's delineated the costs. Maybe we could just, what I'd like to see is an added comment, just to say these costs do not include indirect costs and fringe benefits.
I found it, page 2.
Thanks. Anybody have comments to that?
Well, unfortunately, I can't change the actual document, but I can make a note in this document and I can add the excerpt from the old one and just add a bullet to it.
I think that would work for me. I mean, as long as everybody's in agreement, but
yeah, any corrections or changes have to be anecdotal on the future one. I can't change what they already have filed, but I can take that little bit and put it in here with that correction.
yeah. Yeah, I think it's just for, future, if someone picks that up, now we know what's excluded and,
Right.
and it's
Yep.
very clear.
Good point. Good point, Don.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to accept the minutes. So if people want the minutes amended, as I spoke, you would vote no. So, and then we would make another motion to add the comments. So, okay, so no further discussion. All in favor with accepting the minutes as is? Say aye. Hearing
Aye.
none. Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
Did someone? I'm sorry, did someone vote?
Yeah, Dinesh did.
no, that was a mistake, sorry.
Okay, so Dinesh, you want them as is? Okay. All right, okay. Since
I'll make
one
a-
voted, the motion doesn't pass. Now, can I hear a motion to adopt the minutes with the amendment as I noted before? The anecdotal.
Sure. I'll
information.
make the motion to amend the existing minutes from February 11th to include the statement around does not include wages and salaries.
Second.
No.
Okay.
It includes salaries.
Greg, go ahead.
No, it's just the indirect costs, okay? There's no fringes, and I don't think Woody's salary is in there, but the employees' wages are in there, right, Woody?
That is correct.
Right, direct wages are included.
Right. So
Okay,
there's
so
no
go
indirect
ahead,
costs.
Greg. Why don't you make the motion then?
There's no indirect costs or fringe costs included in that number. I don't know how you want to say it, but
Oh, can you make the motion, please?
yes, I make the motion that we add a note to Woody's costs for maintaining the fields to say that it does not include indirect costs or fringe benefit costs.
All right, second it.
Yep, second.
Tony seconds. Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and then opposed? No, okay, passes. Okay, thank you. Okay, so that's minutes. Oh, jeez, Chris. I gotta scroll back up. Okay, now we have the consent agenda. I suggest we take each consent agenda item separately, just because they're kind of unique and there may be discussions. So could I hear a motion to accept agenda item A, which is for Berlin Little League to sell food, et cetera?
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda item number A, Berlin Little League to sell food.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. Okay, consent agenda item B. Could I have a motion to accept item B, which is to charge a registration fee by Alex and Sal, who spoke before, for their camp, but the camp date, we're just going to correct it as part of the same motion, okay? The camp
No,
date.
his camp date is correct. It's John Paul's that's wrong.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
I'll
Okay,
make a motion to accept the consent agenda item number 3B for Alex Joslin of J&S Soccer Camp to charge a registration fee of $100.
Second.
I'll second.
okay. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, unanimous, thank you. Okay, item,
Donna,
yes.
real quick, just after you say all in favor, just say all opposed, just because some people we can't see. We just want to make sure that there's no one opposed.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Consent agenda item C, which is also for Alex and Sal to waive the fees of approximately $1,050 to run their soccer camp. Hear a motion? Someone make the motion so at least we can discuss it. We need the motion.
I'll make a motion to accept
Thank you, Don.
consent agenda item 3C requested by Alex Joslin of J&S Soccer Camp for a fee waiver of $1,050.
Second,
I'll second.
Greg seconds. Thank you. Okay, any discussion? Okay, I'm going to just throw this out. So from my viewpoint and what I heard, obviously they're running a camp. It's a great idea for youth soccer. There might be a better way that they should approach it. That hasn't been done yet. Possibly through youth soccer, get under their umbrella. If they can't do it through the boosters, a fundraiser, because they already have another fundraiser or whatever. But to have an LLC and also to pay the coaches, I just have a problem with that. And I don't think we should waive the fees. To me, this is, and I hope they do make a profit at some time in the future, if not this year. But it is, in my opinion, it seems to be for profit in the future.
Well, is there any way to, because you brought up a couple good points during the conversation, right, about possibly doing something with BSA or whatever, but is there an opportunity to approve this year's request, knowing that it's very small? And the fact is that they are putting that money back through the organization, whether that's going to work with Tony on boosters. And then, because every year they're going to have to come back, right? It's not like they get approval for life. So I think, maybe there needs to be an education on that front around, what they may need to do in the future. Just a suggestion.
I wouldn't have a problem with them in writing committing to making donations of all their net proceeds to the boosters. So whatever it is, if they wind up with, $1,600 net, them turning around and saying, I'm giving, $800 to the boys soccer team, $800 to the girls soccer team as donations. Then it doesn't affect our fundraising, whatever requirements at all for boosters. But I mean, otherwise, it's just, you just don't know what you're paying for, what they're paying for. It's all just, we're still reaching out there and saying, well, okay, we're going to trust you on the accounting, to turn over the funds. I mean, I don't know. And I don't understand why the next group of guys, the football guys, aren't asking for a waiver. They're Berlin guys too. John
Yeah,
Denver,
but
Maxi Lorenzo.
I think it's because it's a much larger population of people. I think the difference, and I'm just guessing, I don't know. I'm not Max or John Paul. I'm just speculating based on the number of people.
I mean,
Possibly.
I remember last year when I was talking to Max when he was first trying to get his business off the ground and doing the LLC paperwork, and he was talking about running his camp or his passing league. He was even then more than willing to pay the fees. He understood that he was coming in as a business to pay the fees, and he was more than okay being on board with that.
Mm-hmm.
So I also want to, when Sal was talking, he had put on the paperwork 25 people, but I caught he made a comment that it could be 30, it could be 80, it all depends.
Yeah.
But I mean, if all of a sudden he gets 80 registered at 100 a pop, that's a much different story than if he gets the 25 that he put on paper.
But then Alex corrected him and said no more than 30.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's right.
okay,
They
I didn't hear
changed
that.
the
Okay.
number a few
He
times.
did,
during the
Alex
discussion.
did say that.
Right.
Okay.
So
I wouldn't
Tony,
be
so
surprised.
3
if
years
this
ago,
thing-
the first camp that I ran we got 40 people. At the second camp, the following summer, when Alex coached it for us, I got less, like 25. And it all depends. If you're competing against BYSA has camps, they bring in less shit. He has camps. Everyone's competing for a very limited population of kids, especially if we just target Berlin,
So Tony, you made a comment during the conversation, and I think Sal agreed to it. You said, would you be willing to break out your, you didn't say expensive, but I think you break out your dollars, right? I think, is that how you worded it possibly? So getting back to what you just said, is that something that Jennifer needs to go back to them and say, hey, the commission wants to see that, or, a recommendation by you is to see that. Again, I'm just throwing that out. I mean, this
I
is
don't
not
know.
a lot of money here. We're talking
No.
$2,500.
Right. It's not a lot of money, but I mean, if they're looking for a $1,000 fee waiver, then, they should tell us what they're going to do with the money.
The problem with going back to them and asking for more information is that's going to really put a damper on their time because this still has to get approved by council. So if they get pushed to the May meeting for a decision, then they have to go to council. All of a sudden they're not even allowed to do registration until 2 weeks before their event.
Yeah, and one of the other things that kind of bothered me, and maybe we should, the town manager, when they put in this form, does the town manager fill this out after we approve it or after the council approves it, where it says, does it meet the standards set forth in the policy on fees and charges? No one checked it off. If yes, then what one does it meet? I'm sitting here and I'm not, they say they're going to raise funds for the high school soccer program. But they're also paying themselves $200 to $300. People volunteer normally for these types of things unless they're getting paid.
Well, the only one that's getting, the two head coaches are not getting paid. You asked that question and they both said no. They said that they were going to allocate some of that money to their assistant coaches as part of a payment, since they do not get paid throughout the year. So what I'm thinking they're going to do, and again, I'm speculating, I don't know 100%,
Right.
is that they're going to use, say, for example, they put $300 a piece aside at the end of the school year when both Alex and Sal get paid through the school for their varsity coaching. They will maybe give them that $300. I'm just, again, I'm speculating based on the notes I took and the conversation that took place.
Jen, on the town manager review, does that normally happen before or at the
Yeah,
end?
the town manager review happens in between commission approval and council approval.
In between. So
Yeah.
is he gonna have an issue with this to answer that so that,
He will go based on what the commission decides, is my feeling. And just to throw, I know Don had said it's not a lot of money, and I get that, but at the same time, it's still, they're coming to us as a business. They even said some of the profit is going to go back into the business.
right, they did say
What's
that.
going to stop, what's going to stop John Paul and Max hearing this and coming back to us? Well, you waived there, so now we're asking for a waiver.
Exactly.
And how do we do that? What's going to happen when Dave Swanson finds out that we're now waiving 4 business groups? I mean, I'm not trying to, I like Alex, I get along with Alex. I think what he's doing is a great thing, but I have to look at the bigger picture, and is it going to open a can of worms to other for-profits that already use our fields?
And you know, we had a big discussion with the softball group for their I'm gonna say AAU, but ASA team that came in, and they didn't want to pay fees to use Sage One. We said, no, you know, there was nothing we could do. They were under the 75%
yeah.
of Berlin. I mean, although this is targeted at Berlin, and it probably will be Berlin, we have no guarantee that even they're gonna be 75% Berlin kids. I think this could pop, you know, very well for them. I think they could get if they market it right, but I know, I've said enough. That's my opinion. I am not gonna vote for it, so.
It sets a
So here's the
precedent
thing.
that if we're not careful,
Yeah,
it comes back to haunt us next year and the following years in this particular team, but also with other teams. We mentioned Dave Swanson, you know, baseball. You just see it kind of blowing up in our face going forward. We just got to be careful with that.
Yeah, I agree that it sets a precedent, and that you're going to be facing every year once this gets out. Now, the unfortunate thing is they're trying to do a good thing for a good reason, but once you start leveraging it around a for-profit business, then that's where the concern is. And like Tony said, I don't know what they can do, but if they say that they're going to, you know, only spend $200 on a coach or something like that, and all the rest of the money goes to, you know, the soccer program, you know, I guess that's okay. I don't know, but I don't know why they. So Tony, is there a way that they can leverage you, or not?
Well, the boosters run separate from the 2 coaches in their camp. So you know, if the Friends of Men's Soccer, for instance, they'll do their own fundraiser this fall, and it'll probably be a jamboree, where, you know, the high school teams are invited, and they'll run the concession stand, and the boosters will approve them for that one fundraiser. So the only way that we could take in any money from this camp would be through a donation. They would have to call it a donation that they're committing to make, you know, and because we accept donations, of course. No one's going to turn it down.
And that'll allow them to get allocated back to their programs.
Then, so if Sal hands, you know, the booster rep for boys soccer a check for $800 and says, you know, this is a donation from us to the program, goes in a booster account, then he can turn around and say, hey, by the way, Krista, can you pay for my team socks and buy me, you know, this equipment, whatever I need? And she turns around and says yes, and we write checks for it, because she has as the booster rep, she has the authority to, you know, spend the money that's allocated for boys soccer.
Tony, is the issue, the reason why they're setting this up, maybe it's just, you know, because in the future they think they can make some money, but why would the boosters would not allow them to run this camp because they already have their one fundraiser for each team?
If like when I ran it and we didn't have a jamboree for women's soccer, what we came up with was holding a soccer clinic, just like what they're doing. And I went out and advertised and put yard signs around, and we got 40 kids to come in. They didn't pay 100, they paid something less than that. But that's how we made, that was the fundraiser for that year. you know. And the coaches volunteered their time, but they also made it a commitment on the varsity and the JV soccer members of the team to be coaches. So the coach ran it, and all the players came and all coached, and we did a 3-hour camp with whatever kid showed up. You know, it was a little bit of a different animal, but.
Okay. Any other discussion, comments? Okay, so hearing none. So we have a motion that's been seconded to accept the request by Alex and Sal to have their fees of $1,050 waived for their youth camp, which is item agenda 3C. All in favor? Okay. Any opposed? I'm opposed.
No,
Okay, Joe?
no, I'm opposed.
Okay. Okay, so it does not pass. But Jen, when you talk to them, they really should try and think about making this, you know, maybe approach youth soccer. If the boosters can't run it through, see if, you know, maybe youth soccer would do it, Berlin Youth Soccer with them or something, kind of under their umbrella. Might be another way to skin it.
So Dinesh, did you vote?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yes,
I was
I
the
did.
only one the only one that voted yes, right?
That's correct.
Okay, I didn't see Dinesh. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, all right.
I have a quick question. Is there a way that if they go back and do this, right, they have to wait to the next meeting to come up with a solution, I guess, and then we vote on it? Is that what's basically going to happen?
I mean, it would be but then they would I mean, our next meeting is second week in May, which means they'd get on the first week in June for the council meeting. That's the problem, that the timeline just would be too tight for them. So my guess is they'll pay the fees this year and look to change something next year, maybe.
Okay. All right.
I mean, you know, it's up to the commission, but I'd be willing to have a special commission meeting if we had to help them. If there's a viable alternative that that we should listen to. So I'd be willing, I can't speak for the rest of the commission, but.
I'd agree to do that.
All right.
Sure.
Okay, can I have a motion to accept consent agenda item D? This is for the football camp run by John Paul and Max.
I'll make a motion to accept.
But the dates changed, Don. I'm
Yeah, I
sorry.
know.
Donna, you make the motion because you have the information.
Okay, the motion that Don's,
Donna, you make the motion.
all right, but normally the chair doesn't, but that's
Yeah,
fine.
why does she have to make the motion? Can't you just say the
Don's
dates?
got the information. Go ahead, Don.
You have the dates and the new price?
No, I
And
don't.
Time
June 28th to July 1.
from
times.
4:45 to 8:45,
so
and they're
I'll make a
charging.
Okay. Don, go ahead, make the motion.
I can't make the motion because I don't have the information. So Jennifer, you want to give me the information or you want to talk
Yes.
over me? What do you want to do?
It's June 28th to July 1st
June 28th,
to July 1st.
July 1.
July 1,
4:45 to 8:45. And the cost is 110 to 195.
110 to 195.
Yep.
Okay, now I got it. I'll make a motion to accept consent agenda item number 3D, request from John Paul Demko and Max DiLorenzo to charge $110 to $195 on June 28th through July 1st. The time is 4:45 PM to 8:45 PM.
Okay, second?
I'll
Second,
second it.
Pick 'em,
Great
Dana.
job, Don.
Whoever, okay. Any discussion on this item? Okay, hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? None opposed. Okay. And Dana, you know what you have to do just to kind of change it. Okay. All right. Motion to accept consent agenda item E. Okay. Tony, can you make the motion?
I think I should abstain from this.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'll-
okay.
Yeah.
All right, Greg, go.
All right.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we accept the consent agenda number 3E, request for approval of Berlin High School Boosters Association to hang presented banners during the spring of 2021 season.
Andrew, you're seconding?
Yep.
Thank you. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? None opposed, and Tony, you abstained?
Yep. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so that passes. Motion to accept item 3F. Andrew,
I'll
go
do it.
ahead. Okay,
Go ahead, Andrew.
go ahead, Greg.
All right. So I'll make a motion that we accept consent agenda item 3F, request, oops, is that right? Yeah, request
Yep.
by St. Paul School to have field usage fees not to exceed the amount of $600 waived for the school soccer team practice at BHS West and Willard Soccer Field for a number of dates in April, May, and June.
And 660 is the amount. Yep, okay. Seconded?
Second.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
I have a
Yeah.
question.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Greg.
No, I just wanted to remind Jen to tell the soccer coaches when they use the field and they move the goals in that they need to move them back. Several times we've showed up and the goals in the middle of the field. That's number one. And also McGee, the baseball team, moves the goalposts, all right, for their field practices when they're doing outfield practices. And they don't move them back. Not every time, just sometimes. And the third thing is when they do it, they, for some reason, they line up on the end line of the soccer field at Woody lines, and they wear the whole thing out, right? Doesn't happen all the time, just sometimes. Just keep them off the lines. That's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, when we go through these consent, let's stay on focus on the consent agenda items, but those are things to bring up later. Okay, Don, you had a question?
Yeah, did we waive this last year?
We've waived this the past, since I started, these have been waived.
Okay, thank you.
Jen, question is that I have is on the dates, the consent agenda didn't have the specific dates, but you got them and you're okay?
Yes, Berlin Youth Soccer gave up Willard Soccer Field on Thursday nights for them to use, and they're using Soccer West after school on Tuesdays, which does not conflict with Berlin Youth Soccer.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Okay, hearing none. Let's vote on accepting consent agenda item 3F. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none. Okay, unanimous. Thanks. Okay,
G.
yeah, I was wondering if we can combine any, but I guess not. All right, 3G. Don, can you make the motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion to accept consent agenda item 3G, which is accepting a donation of $500 from Cambridge Specialty Company and a $500 donation from the Kensington Garden Club towards Park and Recreation Youth Fishing Derbies to be held at the dates listed on the paper.
Okay,
that was
the
50.
last part, the
That was-
last donation is 50, not 500.
No, did I say 500 in the second one too? Oh, I'm sorry. I meant to
That's
say
okay.
50.
That's all
Sorry.
Yeah,
right.
you were gonna give
It's
the other, the
500
extra
and
450.
Don will
second
send you the
vehicle.
bill for the balance.
Okay, Dinesh, you want a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor to accept the donation, say aye.
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 Opposed? None, unanimous. Okay. Who's making the motion? Andrew, make the motion for item H, Eagle Scout.
Oh, yeah. I motion to accept agenda item H, the request of approval and acceptance of Eagle Scout project of improvements to be made at the Sage Park Pavilion by Matthew Ross. Work is estimated at a cost of $3,000 and $3,050.
Thank you. Second,
Second.
Tony seconds. Any discussion?
During
So
his,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
go ahead, Joe. Oh, Tony.
Just a quick question. So maybe I misunderstood his presentation. I was having some technical difficulties. The 3,500, or the 3,050, is he raising that money on his own? I
Yes.
see all these heads nodding yes. Okay, that's my question. Thank you.
Typically, Eagle Scouts are raised on their own. He
Right.
did reach out to me this afternoon and mentioned he was going to mention it tonight. He is looking for some town funding. Steve and I will discuss that, and see if there's anything we can do or any way we can help.
Okay.
That's what I was going to speak to, is we can't make a donation to him from the Parks and Grounds operational budget, but we might be able to purchase some of the lumber that is required for his project, but we can't just turn around and say, we're going to donate $500.
Right. Okay.
Working with Tony in the past, I thought their goal was to try to see if they can get all of the funds raised and not for us to subsidize it, but we will help and assist where we can. And if worse comes to worse, we probably can cover some of the cost of the lumber.
All right. Thank you,
Okay.
Steve.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none. All those approving item H, say yes,
Aye.
whatever. Yeah,
Aye.
okay.
Yes.
Any opposed? None. Okay, Matthew's on his way.
Okay, I'll make the motion for the next one.
Thank you.
Motion for consent item 3I rather, request for approval of revised community/senior center, park and recreational commission statement of needs to include information pertaining to a diving well.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? We should probably discuss this. Let me just give you, I'll give you the background. Through Facebook and the comments that have been presented, the overwhelming comments were that what was missing in the original statement of need that was presented is a diving area. The Berlin High School swim teams will not be able to use a pool in a community center without the diving area because they have diving competition as well. Unfortunately, the previous AD left the diving well requirements out of the statement of need that was given to Jen. And the architect kind of never, didn't question it. And the statement of need has gone through the process. The plans as currently presented on Facebook and through the town does not have that diving area included. I spoke with the AD, I spoke with the swim team coaches, and I asked Jen, and collectively they reached out and they amended our current statement of need to include the diving requirements, which will fit the high school needs. You can see there are options presented, probably very good that they presented some options. And that's why you're seeing it in the statement of need. If we agree to that amendment, what happens is the statement of need, then we approve it, then it goes to, Jen, correct me, it will go to council.
Goes to a Roche first.
A Roche first, yeah, and then council.
Yep, and then re-presented to PBC.
Right. to the
PBC
building
knows.
commission, who will then talk to the architect and get him to amend it. I actually
Right.
had a conversation with the architect. And he already has amended the plans, quite frankly. You know,
Yeah.
I think it's going to be gratis, no costs included, but it's kind of, you know, that's a big miss.
Right.
Fortunately, you know, that it's a shame, but I asked Jen to make sure that if there's anything else that we should include. I don't, Jen, you can speak if there's anything else, but
We don't believe we missed anything else. I also sent Dan Thurston's email straight to Tom, so Tom is fully aware of all the details as well as the 4 documents that Dan had attached to the email that showed the proof of what was needed. I've already given Mike Ahern, he's aware that it's coming back through to the Public Building Commission, so we just need to approve it so we can move on with the process.
okay. Well, and we can, you know, the community center's on the agenda. We can discuss any other items that people have, but any questions, comments on the statement of need before we vote? Okay, hearing none. With that background, all in favor of accepting the new statement of need, consent agenda item 3I, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, unanimous, thank you. And then Jen, you just let me know when I gotta go to the council and present. Okay? And I am gonna ask the swim team coaches and the AD to be there as well. You know, the new AD, I mean, Dave's very good, so I think it's,
Yeah,
you know.
I agree.
Okay. All right, so finally, we're done with consent agenda items. And let's go to Parks and Grounds, your monthly report.
I'll try to keep it quick. The first thing is the additional use that's going to happen to all of the fields that are on school grounds or near school grounds throughout the whole entire course of this spring. I don't know if you've noticed by driving around, if you go to Willard, McGee, Hubbard, Griswold, all the classes, recess, any class they can possibly move outside, especially the middle school or the high school, is taking place on the fields. So they're going to be in a lot of excessive use. Hubbard, Griswold, especially where they have 2 Little League fields and a softball field, those fields will not be able to be maintained Monday through Friday. We'll get there and groom them first thing in the morning, but by the time 8 o'clock comes around, they're already going to be out there playing for the remainder of the day, and there's not enough hours at the end of the day to be able to groom and line them. So I'm just warning you that you might get some pushback or some comments from Berlin Little League regarding why the field hasn't been lined as often as it has been. But we will be grooming them first thing in the morning. And if we can find a way to schedule it later in the day where we can line them, we will try, but it doesn't look promising. If you drive by Willard School, you'll notice a nice ugly orange fence that is up.
Yeah.
There was a secondary parking lot that was added on the lower portion of Friendship Place that was used for 15 or 20 teachers. That parking lot has been turned into a secondary playground. So now it's taken 15 or 20 parking spots out of the large teachers parking lot. The parents have now taken it in their own hands to drive onto the grass to pick their kids up, and the whole entire area is rutted up by people driving wherever they think they can. The ugly fence will stay up until either we open up the parking lot or until we put a permanent fence that'll carry from the fence at Friendship Place to the brook. But my hesitation there is if we do that and we get a flood, the leaves and debris that are going to get stuck in the fence. That's the news of the Parks and Grounds. What we've been trying to do is we've started up at Garrity Puccini, going through all the dugouts, cleaning them and replacing a lot of the benches that have been up there for a ton of years that have been broken and in disarray. So we hope over the next 6 months to replace all the benches throughout all of the athletic facilities, just to give them a new, fresher look. That's it.
Okay, great. Any questions, comments? Okay.
All right. Stage 1, I know Steven's going to chime in for a minute, but the update from last month is pretty much the same. We're just waiting for the spring. The contractors will come back and do a few more things once it gets a little bit warmer before the start of the season. We're also planning a not a dedication ceremony, an ribbon cutting ceremony for when the field is going to be open for play. Dave and Jason, is that his name? Jason Pires, are working on dates for that. So we haven't had it finalized yet, but once it's finalized, I'll send an email out to everyone. Steven, you want to talk about the portable restroom?
Yeah, Sage One, I saw US Pitch Care yesterday. They're going to be out sometime next week to do some final closures that are needed on the field, and then we will set up training for the scoreboard for Jason and Dave to go over that with them. We'll probably invite Berlin Little League. I'm sure that Bill Pettit Jr. will want to use that for some of the games this summer. We're also going to start working on a gravel walkway pathway that's going to be able to lead from anything you bring out of the two sheds that are currently there onto the field. We're going to put a gravel pathway. We also bought a carriage or a cart. So when the high school team goes to bring their bases out, they'll wheel their bases out on the cart. Then they will roll the tarps up. The tarps will sit on the cart just for ease of access of getting everything on and off. So they're not dragging the tarps through the mud and getting dirty and disgusting before their games. That concludes the Sage One update. At the end of the packet, you'll see the 2 porta potties that'll be delivered April 1st. These porta potties will be there for April, May, and June. By talking to United Site Services, we think this is adequate for all the functions that'll take place for those 3 months. The cost is right around $500 a month, and we currently have the money in our operating budget to cover these new porta potties.
Hey, when do spring sports start? So when do they start practicing?
March 27th.
Yeah.
So they'll be all set for the field. They'll have all the grooming, the last minute things that have to be done.
As long as the weather and everything cooperates, the field will be ready to go by March 22nd-ish, 5 days ahead of before the first practice.
Okay. Thank you.
Go ahead, Don. Sorry.
Go ahead. No, please.
And we will make sure that the bathrooms are opened at the blockhouse and the youth building for all sports to make sure that they have restrooms, seeing that due to the increase of COVID and the expenditures that come with the porta potties this year, just to shed some light on it, a standard porta potty last year cost us $52. A standard porta potty now is costing us $162 a month.
Wow. 3 times. Wow.
So and because the CDC guidelines are requiring extra cleanings. So we had to go from 1 cleaning to 2 cleaning. A handicap commode went from $105, I think, don't quote me to the dollar, I believe it's $245 a month. So if we brought them out March 27th, we would be on the hook for the whole entire month of March. So to save our operating budget with the money I do not have for the remainder of the fiscal year, I've decided to hold off on delivering any porta potties till April 1st.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, I was going to. I'm sorry.
Don, go ahead.
Thank you. So Woody, I was going to ask a question about the cleaning. So, and I think you just mentioned it. So, is this company going to be doing the cleaning as well?
Yes, this company services all the porta potties and has for the last several years. They are required. They're required to clean them. We primarily really like Mondays and Fridays, and this one breaks down of how many people can use the porta potty, how many they can use it per event. There is a sink, there's a hand washing station, there is everything inside here. It is flushable. We would have gone with a larger handicap commode, but there's no reason to have a sink or anything in there because the larger you get and the more the disabilities that people have using them, there's no way for them to be able to use it. And that's why the ADA compliancy has left those sinks and stuff out of there, if that makes sense.
No, I understand. My only question around the cleaning is because, my daughter played over there and it was gross. I don't know how girls can go to the bathroom there in the first place. Okay. So we just need to be conscientious. If you guys see it needs cleaning, are you able to call to get an additional cleaning, or how does that work?
It's scheduled, as of right now, it's scheduled to be cleaned twice a week. And these porta potties, as of right now, I have not decided where we're going to put them, and I'm open for feedback on it. Is we are either going to put them close to the batting cage, Preferably there is a cedar tree that I would like to make a pad and sit them on there. So it's not inviting anybody driving through the parking lot to use them. I believe there'd be less
That's a good
vandalism
idea.
than being placed there, but that's where my mindset is
There
as
you
of
go.
right now.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
So anytime we go to any porta potty, they should have a sheet when the last time it was cleaned, right? Stuck right inside there. And we should be able to see that they go twice a week.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
The exception to that is the community garden, which will be cleaned on once a week.
Okay, yeah. And can you also make sure that, and I know I mentioned this last year, but that they don't drive on the lawn at Berlin High School when they clean that one next to the tennis courts?
Yes, that one will not be there. That we don't know where that one came from last year, but there will be one on the entrance to the track, and there will be one on Soccer West. And the only way they can access the one on the Soccer West is to back up into the handicap parking spot and pump it out from there.
Yeah, okay. Okay, thanks.
So Woody, on those, I think those two porta potties are great. So they're both going to be a Sage 1. Is that the deal?
That is correct, and they will only be there for April, May, and June.
They all right. So anybody can use them though, right?
Yep.
Do they have a urinal in there? The reason I'm asking is that if there's not a urinal in there, there's nothing to clean the seats. You're gonna love me. People are gonna pee all over the seats. All right, which is kind of sucky for the girls. And if there's no towels or anything to wipe it off or disinfectant, I'm just saying, you know.
Greg, it's trial error. If we find there's a lot of abuse or a lot of people who just can't be able to hit the center of the bowl, at that time we will lock the porta potties, and we will put a combination lock on there, and the combination lock will only be given to the field users.
Right.
These are primarily there to address the request that was given to us by the parents of Berlin softball.
Right.
All right. So I have a question. Can we put on there for girls softball only?
Can't do that.
All right. Is there something that we can? So it just has to be that way, right?
Yeah, like you said,
we should wait to see. Let's wait to see how it goes.
Okay.
My daughters would not use a porta potty. Wouldn't matter what condition it is. They'd rather go in the woods.
Yep. Same way.
I mean, if you guys are okay, I won't spend the $500 a month, but
I think this is what we
The
have
older
to
people.
do.
It's the older people you need to cover.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have to remember that the Sage Park building is going to be open with the indoor bathrooms. Dave, the AD, has said that at every home game, he will have that building open for anyone that wants to make the walk for a real bathroom.
Okay.
Right.
Can somebody put a sign up to that effect?
That the Sage building will be open?
Yep.
Sure.
Cool.
Okay, Percival, moving on, right?
Yep.
All right, Percival Soccer Field has gone out to bid. Bids are due back the last week of March, and we are doing interviews with construction companies on March 29th. So I think the council meeting is April 6th. So by the time I see you guys again, we will be able to let you know actually which construction company is being hired per council approval, because we'll have interviews and everything done after that and hopefully get that project going.
I
Go
have
ahead,
a question.
Greg.
So I've got the bid here, or the RFP, and it says, how many people came to the non-mandatory pre-bid construction meeting on March 10th?
Three companies were represented.
All right. There's a typo in the RFP, by the way, Woody, and it says, I don't know where it is, but it's work to be completed not later than June 2021. So it's either going to be the 21st or the 22nd, just to say. And is the cost in there correct, Woody? I don't know why it's in there.
We don't know the cost right now. We won't know the cost
You're going out for bid.
until the bids come back.
Where are we seeing this stuff, guys? Where is this? Is this in a package?
No,
Oh,
the
No.
RFP taken on purchasing portion of our department of our
So-
website. So
so
Greg
they-
looks like
so
he
they-
purchased
so
the
they
RFP.
use-
right. I think
Go ahead.
Greg went in and downloaded it from the purchasing department, and he went through the
145
RFP.
pages. I
So,
wasn't going to give it to you.
okay, yeah.
284. All right, that's fine. They must have used an old contract and left the amount in there, that's all. Don't worry about it.
I think. Well, okay. All right. Anything
He looks
else
so
on
happy.
Percival? So, Jen, could you send out an email to the commissioners when you get the bids back? Is that okay? Just say this is where the bids come out. This is
Yeah,
kind of where
what
we're
we do.
leaning.
Yeah, we post the bid result, which lists the company and what their bid proposal was number wise. I can just forward that to you once we post it on the website.
Okay, that would it'd be great for the commissioners before, because it's going to bypass us and go to council anyway. So, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, next on the agenda, State of Connecticut grant update. You guys want me to give an update and then
I think
fill
that'd
it
be
in?
good. Since you
Okay.
represented the commission, that'd be good.
All right, so I put out an email to everybody here on the commission, and I wasn't able to share at that point in time the numbers and what was decided. So I'm gonna just talk through it right now, and if you want to jot these down, you can. But just basically, Joe Arasimowitz got the town a $2.8 million grant. I'm using millions, round numbers, 2.8. Biscoglio Field was in there. That's the turf field with inside the track at the high school. It was put in for $1.7 million. When the group got together from the town staff, as well as people outside staff like myself representing Parks and Rec, there were representatives from the Board of Ed, town manager was there, Parks and Rec, Jen and Steve were there, and the building commission, and Mike Ahern and Doug Solik from the town. So when we met virtually, and it was probably for an hour and a half, and the goal was we needed to finalize what they were going to submit, what the staff was going to submit to the state to finalize this grant. So $1.7 million was put in there for Biscoglio. We knew it was low. Jen and Steve went through it, including the field equipment that's needed to support the field. To maintain the field, there's equipment needed. It's $2 million, round numbers, okay? So we started with 2.8, we need 2 million for Biscoglio. There is a 10% contingency fee built in, like there is for every project. To the extent there's money left over, it can go through to other items. We'll talk about that in a second. The second item that was on there was the Sage 1, the softball field, building that would include indoor restrooms and water lines, obviously, because you need it for restrooms, which would also allow for some type of concession stand. The number that was put into the original grant, 510,000. Doug Solik talked a lot about this, and unfortunately, there's no numbers, actual numbers to talk about, but they would have to do a design, bid document to get the engineering and all the approvals, zoning approvals and 824 approvals. There's a discussion whether or not the water lines could even be brought in because there's septic and there's regular water. So in the event, the thought is the 510 might be a good number, might be low, they don't know. But there's so much work to be done to try and figure out how much and whether or not they could ever build it, that it wouldn't be something that we would include. We all agreed as a group, we would not include to use 500,000 of this grant money to build 2 restrooms and a potential concession stand. There was a lot of discussion, a lot of pushback, and But in the end, I even agreed, $500,000, perhaps money could be spent in other places through this grant that would cover more than just say high school softball or Berlin Little League softball that might use that field. So no monies were awarded for that building at this point in time. The one thing that the town manager did agree, and Jen, I don't know if you have an update, but he was going to talk to the health director because as we learned through the process, dry goods, even if you did a concession stand just selling dry goods, and maybe some cans of soda or whatever, the health director would have to get involved and you'd have to get a waiver, blah, blah, blah. Town manager said he would talk to the health director and get a waiver for the high school team if they wanted to do it. Jen, I don't know where that stands.
We have no update on that.
Can you follow up with the town manager and ask him to follow up since the season starts the end of March? Okay. Okay, so we're still at $2 million. Sage Park Entrance Road. Many years ago, there was plans put out to redesign the entrance into Sage to allow for additional fields in the front. Okay, we're doing a turf field. The need for the additional fields has kind of gone away at the present time. The redesign of the entrance, what was put into the grant was $350,000. It's actually going to be $1 to $2 million. So right away that one came out. No need for additional fields right now because we're getting the turf field. And the costs are outrageous, $1 million to $2 million. So nothing will be done on the entrance road. Scalise scoreboard. Part of the grant was to provide the scoreboard that was presented to the commission a year or so ago. It includes, it's high-tech advertising. It's like an NFL type scoreboard. $200,000 was put into the grant to cover the scoreboard. The actual cost is $350,000, and that includes fiber optics needed to operate the scoreboard. A lot of discussion on that one item. And it was decided from a group that it would be included in the final amount to be used for the grant, and at $350,000. I will tell you that the superintendent, Dave, the new AD, and Adam Selena represented the Board of Ed. And I asked the superintendent who's going to operate the scoreboard, and he had no answer. They don't know. He did say he needs staff to run it. And I pushed back because I was just like, okay, this has been going on for a year and you still don't know who's going to run it. So in the end, the town manager got involved in the discussion. And I said, how can you ask us to vote on something if you don't even know, you don't even have the money to run the gosh darn thing? I'd rather take the $350 and put it towards bathrooms, maybe at Sage then, if that's, or maybe to a better use, which there are other needs. So in any event, the town manager got involved, and between the town manager and the superintendent, they said, we will do this on 2 phases. Phase 1 will be, we'll get the scoreboard installed and operational, maybe do some replays on it using some technology that they have. And then phase 2, which would be in the second year, full year, would be to actually sell the advertising. Maybe the advertising would cover whatever additional costs are going to be needed, or excess funds will go towards something. And I don't know what that's going to be. In the end, the group voted to approve that plan, and making sure that when it was presented, that the council understand that, there may be additional operating costs to run this thing to its full capability. So with that, we now have 2 approved things that were part of the grant. $2 million for Boscaglio, $350 for the scoreboard. That left $400,000 left. There is a great need for all the Sage fields to have LED lighting. I'm not talking about replacing poles or anything, because that would be a tremendous expense, but actually just the light itself. So in the grant will be $400,000 to incorporate LED lighting at all the fields at Sage Park.
That's good.
Okay? That took the 2.8 million. There were other things that were discussed, and I think the most major item is the parking lot at Sage. As we probably all know, it is really crumbling and it's getting to be a safety hazard. They made a pitch for that as well, but no more funds were permitted. If there are funds that are left over from any of these projects that are not spent, I guess the process is we go back to the state and let them know we would like to spend the additional funds on X, Y, and Z. Perhaps it's the parking lot, which is about a $350,000 expense. That has to be done at some point from a safety standpoint. So that was the thought. Let's put that in. And they did cover it by saying that any other, if there are excess funds, it would be done at Sage Park. And that was the meeting. The town staff was getting then to get to work to solidify things. The finance director was going to be presenting it to the state. And Jen, I don't know if there's any further update on that.
As of now, they're still working with the state to get the proper paperwork and get it filled out and everything. So we are still at the same spot we were paperwork wise. We're at that meeting.
So the issue is get it done, because these guys got to go out for bid for Piscaglia so that we can get that turf field going, and everybody understands the urgency there.
We are nearing, we're nearing the, drop dead deadline of pushing that project to next year. We're not there yet, but it's something that we'll be discussing soon, I'm sure.
Okay. Any questions?
Any possibility of the town just kicking the money in to repair the parking lot at Sage? I mean, it's not, we're not looking at it being a capital improvement. It's a repair of a collapsing asphalt.
So all big paving jobs like that are part of the capital improvement plan, and it has consistently been put in the 10-year capital improvement plan. The problem is capital has not been funded the past 2 years and very little 3 years ago. So every project, unfortunately, whether it's paving, whether it's, something else that's a totally different department, everything just keeps getting pushed back.
Okay.
But they are aware of it becoming, pretty bad and becoming a safety issue.
Yeah, exactly. And then the other comment is, have you, and I don't mean to make the scoreboard sound too simplified, but if you've watched any of the online streaming of the high school games being done by the AV department, the head and the students, they're doing an unbelievable job.
Yep.
They have multiple cameras, they got commentators. I mean, it's almost like a college experience watching a high school game online. I'm sure that AV head and those kids could do something about running that scoreboard at Sage. Nowadays kids, with their technology and they could do anything. It comes like second nature,
You're probably right, Tony. You would hope that can be done and they can take full advantage of it. The superintendent made note of the games and everything, and he made it sound like it's a lot of work. It's horrendous. It's taken up a lot of staff time to run these games, and we want to do it, but to now add this on is a bigger toll. So, but hopefully with the new AD and everything, and hopefully things can get worked out. It's just they didn't have a plan. How the hell can you prove something if you don't even have a plan?
No, I agree. And that's why there's not a single time goes by that if I don't see Dave or those AV kids or the teacher, I tell them what a great job they're doing.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Because it's unbelievable. So,
yep.
For whatever it's worth.
No, that's great. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, Parks and Rec, Deb, finally, huh?
Whew. Okay, here I am. I'll make it short and sweet. Well, my monthly report, I've been doing the interviews for the summer positions. If we look to try to open 2 pools right now, we're about 7 guards short. So we would not be able to open 2 fully operational pools with the staff. That's if I was able to hire everyone that has applied, and they're all excellent. And I would like to do that, but it still is, it's going to leave us short. You know, having 1 pool last year, not hiring any new staff really hurt us a lot. So, you know, I've kept the application deadline open, and we put it back on Facebook again. I'll make another announcement starting next week at the schools to see if we can do that. The problem is because the kids aren't in school, I guess it goes through their announcements, so they have to actually check that. So I'm not sure if that's part of the issue also, but we'll continue to try to get some applications.
Deb, the swim coaches at the high school, can they be any help, or?
I mean, I could send it to them. I think I had like 3 of the kids from the swim team apply for positions. So I would imagine they're talking about it but not everyone on the swim team has lifeguarding certification. Right now, because of all the COVID restrictions, no one can offer a traditional class. It has to be a blended class, which is some computer time, some water time, but the amount of classes being offered is very limited because of the restrictions. You can only have like four in a group. They're recommending like 8 maximum, which, you know, a lot of these places when they run them they're not making money only having 8 kids in a class because it's a 35-hour course. So that's part of the whole state is facing this issue. I was on a Zoom call with the association. I think there's about 50 towns represented, and everyone's having similar issues with it because they haven't been able to offer the programs, the classes to get the certification. So again, we'll keep trying and do the best that we can. And, you know, we'll have to have a discussion with the town manager at some point to see what we want to do. I'd like to at least open both pools, even if it's reduced hours, because I think it's important to get that. We can get more people, you know, even if they're both open for, you know, 6 hours a day, then we can still get the people in, as opposed to just opening one if we have to limit the number again. And now we're only getting half as many people to use it. So we'll have to figure out what the best thing is to do. It may jeopardize running swim team because that takes up 4 staff, and that's a lot of time. And for those kids to have those hours as swim coaches, I don't know right now. We'll have to have a discussion to see what's most important, to have the pools available for the community or to run. Because again, even with swim teams, the restrictions are 4 kids in a lane. You have to have the same 4 kids in the lane for the whole week. They don't want you mixing them. It's the guidelines are they're very difficult, especially for such a short, we only run it for 5 or 6 weeks. So it's such a short program. Not sure how that will impact things, but we'll have to keep an eye on it, and hopefully the state is going to send out the guidelines for the summer camps and the pools within the next few weeks. I think that's the goal, although they're indicating that the pools may run the exact same way they did last year with certain time, you know, we'd have to have blocks of time, cleaning in between, limited people coming in. So we'll just have to wait and see what they want to do on that. Unfortunately, it's a tough.
I was hoping for better news, like it's starting to open up a little bit, you know.
It's not, you know, everyone says, oh, the governor's, you know, you can do more people and more percentage, but as I try to explain, our community center hasn't gotten any bigger. Our rooms are still only the same size. So if you have to maintain 6 feet of social distancing, that doesn't change anything that we're doing right now. So it sounds good, but it doesn't. And I think restaurants said the same thing. That's great that they want to go 100% capacity, but if you have to have 6 feet social distancing, it doesn't change a lot. So And that kind of leads into the next, which was the community center. And Jen and I have talked about this. I think that, Charlie Brown he's pretty tough with what he wants to open and not open. But I think come April, we have to open up the community center again at night for meetings. It worked before. I think we can just, again, the same restrictions in place. We can bring groups in. People, they keep contacting me, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, they want a place to meet. So I think that he kind of left it up to our discretion. I think it was something, Jen, you can correct me, but like if you're getting pressure to open things up, I understand, but his recommendation was until Berlin gets out of the red, he would like to see us not open, but I think we have to.
And I actually, not to interrupt you, but I actually just checked and we are out of the red. We just turned orange today. So.
Oh, nice.
I think we will definitely move forward with April.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the goal, and we'll play it by ear. But I'd like to try to get a couple, get some dance and painting classes in before the summer too, and we can't do that until we can open up. So, hopefully we can schedule some of those programs after April vacation, which April vacation is, I think, the middle of the month. So we'll try to squeeze some of those in. Just quick, the Easter drive-through event. Again, March 27th. We will do it. It'll be rain or shine. I have, I think, like 7 staff working, and I just found out, including myself, that within 3 days if we had to postpone it, we were all getting our second COVID vaccine. So I'm concerned that we won't have enough staff if people have side effects, we wouldn't have enough staff to do it. So if it's raining terribly, we're going to set it up inside the youth building at Sage. I think we can just bring one family in at a time, bring them out, and we'll figure out some way to do it on March 27th. Just going to be the best thing to do so that we don't disappoint any of the kids. And right now we're up to 71 people registered, which is, I think it's great. We just started registration last week, so we'll put it on Facebook again next week, and we have 2 more weeks to register up until the 25th. So, I'm hoping to get like 150 would be fantastic. If we got more, that would be great also. But we got 152, I think, for Halloween. So 150 would be a nice number. And I think people will like it. It'll be cute.
You did a good job for Halloween. I'm sure it will work. Yep.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be a little bit different, but I think we're doing something. Last year we couldn't do anything, and that was kind of a bummer. So. We'll have something for the kids. And then the fishing derbies, we're gearing up for that. Again, the pond is definitely large enough where people can spread out and not be on top of each other to have that event. And we're already getting calls that people are interested in the derby. So that's good too, that people want to just start getting back outside again. And then that's about it.
Jennifer, what is that red orange? What are you talking about? I've never heard that number before.
So that's how the state's been going through each town. It's something like you have to have a certain number of positive cases under 100,000 out of 100,000 people. Depends what alert town you're in. So like right now, Connecticut has a ton of red alert towns, which means their positivity rate in those towns is higher than the professionals.
I think it's higher than 15 per 100,000.
Yeah, 15 per 100,000.
Okay.
So we've been red alert, and Charlie had asked us to wait till we were not in red alert, and I've been checking, and I just checked while Debbie was talking, and we dropped down to 14, so we are now orange alert. So that's a good thing that the numbers in Berlin are dropping.
Well, the governor just said in 6 weeks from now, everyone that wants a vaccine will have it. So these politicians got to stop running our lives.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just have to open, and we have to try to move ahead and do something.
Right,
like I said,
right.
With the summer, if we do 50% capacity for our camps, we're doing something. I mean,
Well,
follow
your fishing derby-
the guidelines really restrict us, and that's unfortunate because that limits what you can do.
But your fishing
Right.
derby shouldn't, because they're allowing sports to start March 27th, and they don't have to wear a mask to be outside. So
Right.
your fishing derby should be fine.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not concerned. We're doing those no matter what. I'm not really concerned about that. I think we can. Where I put a little disclaimer on the bottom of the flyer, just asking people to try to remain 6 feet from other groups of people that that's not in their immediate family. But other than that, I mean, it's, I think it's going to be fantastic to be outside, and, the donations are starting to come in, which is good. So we'll be able to do, whatever we've put in for fish before, we'll be able to do again this year. So.
Just one last comment on the pool, right? I don't know if you keep an eye on the Berlin Buzz, but I think there were two families that just moved into town just recently and wanted to know what availability pools are for the summer. I don't know if you saw that or not.
Yeah, I have chosen, because of many negative comments, to not follow the Buzz or whatever the other one is.
Okay, well, people were interested in the.
Though,
just so you know.
it is good to kind of answer some of this, though. Even if it's negative, at least you're giving them the facts and you're giving them an answer. There's so many people will answer something and they have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah, I would
that's
prefer they can call the office and ask
and
the questions.
That's the response to put in, is please
Right.
call, this number. Yep. All right. Thanks, Debbie. Community center, community senior center update.
There is none. We're gonna go through the process of revising the statement of need, but other than that, I mean, it's still, they want to schedule public forums and they haven't done that yet. So I know they're talking about it at PBC tonight.
Yeah, and Jen, have you been in touch with Tom Akiri to see if we could schedule a meeting?
Oh yes, he's coming. He's coming to the April meeting. I forgot about that. Yes, I emailed him. He got right back to me. He put it on his calendar.
So I had asked, I know Greg's been asking, to have Tom come to our meeting. And it's really just get us thinking about next stages. How do you sell this thing to the town? What are other towns doing? What have they done that worked? How does he suggest we do things? And I actually talked to him about it. I said, we really need some guidance from you. And, whether or not it's part of our job as commissioners or independent group from the community, different people, is good. I mean, putting the stuff on Facebook is great, but it reached a limited group and people get tired of it. So, now that's kind of gone. But out of that, we realized the statement of need had a big hole in it. So, but, when it comes down to it in the community forum, people are going to ask a lot of questions. How much? How do you go about securing a pool pass? All those types of things. So there's a lot of information. We can learn from him, I think, and I think it will be something that we can all benefit from. So, okay.
Okay.
Greg, I'm sorry. Do you want to say something?
I had noticed something in the statement of need. It says create an advisory board or something like that, or is that going to be in the process?
So from what I've heard, that could still happen, but right now per charter, it's still at the PBC because they haven't started the public forums yet.
Okay.
All I got.
Okay. All right. Who wants to make the motion to adjourn unless there's something else? Nothing. I hear nothing.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Yep.
Second.
Andrew seconds. All in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
Evening, everybody.
Good night.
Well done.
Good night, everybody.
Thank
Nice
you.
seeing you.